Hello everyone, Seraphin here, welcome back for the bonus final episode of Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. I'm going to show you guys some of the extra features we got after beating the proper campaign of Aria of Sorrow here. So you'll notice that instead of just having Game Start and Soul Trade on the main menu, we now have a special option. And by going here, we have the sound mode, which lets you listen to all of the music tracks and sound effects in the game, which is pretty neat. A lot of older games used to do this, and I'm glad it's still around in this one. Although I don't think a lot of newer games do this anymore. Oh, geez. Should have just done that quicker. At any rate, so we're going to do boss rush mode today, so I can show that to you guys. We're going to pick our only save file that has any data on it. And we are put into this little preparation room. Being in this room, I do not believe counts against you as far as your total time spent taking up for boss rush mode here. You'll see it sets us down to level 40, regardless of what level we already were. We were level 70, so now we're down to 40. However, we do have our full repertoire of souls, so all of them, because I gathered all of them. And we also have all of our equipment from previous. So I have the Cleave Salish, I have the Eversing, and I have the Satan's Ring equipped. Probably going to go Chaos Ring, just because that'll make me get through here quicker. The goal of this mode is speed, so being able to cast lots of spells without having to waste mana is really nice. And actually, it was requested that I show you guys more of the souls at any rate, or at least, you know, basically describe what they do, I guess. I decided I didn't want to take that time to do it during the actual gameplay, because it would have taken a long time, so I figured now's a good time as any to do that. So we'll take a look here. You've already seen the Flame Demon. That's the 3 fireballs that Dracula does. You've seen the Valkyrie. That's the really cool upward swinging holy sword. That's really awesome. Killer Mantle is the little cape that someone flings out that just trades an enemy's attack and magic. Or, I'm sorry, HP and magic. Which is how I kill the Iron Golem and the Red Minotaur and whatnot. Winged Skeleton, I started with that one. It just throws a spear. I think you guys have seen Demon Lord already, but I'll show you anyway. It's that crazy... Actually, it's just the Hell Fireball that Dracula also does, if you're familiar with that. Which, they're really neat, but I don't think they do a whole heck of a lot of damage. Oh, I can kind of spam that a little bit, can't I? That's kind of neat. Anyway. So, let's see what else we got here. The Bat is really simplistic. It just sends a little sonic shockwave around in a circle around you. So it's good for, like, you know, deflecting close-range encounters. Things that are really annoying around you, like maybe imps or bats themselves, I guess, maybe. A couple other things. It's not all that powerful, though. The skeleton just throws a bone. It's exactly the same as the enemy itself. It just hucks the bone in an arc around on top of your head. I don't think there's any point in showing that one. The axe armor is the same thing. It just throws the axe straight ahead like a boomerang, much like the actual axe armor enemy itself. I would have liked to have gotten that sooner in the campaign, because I actually would have made use of that. It's actually a very nice soul to have for a lot of early game enemies. I believe I showed up the Merman already, but I'll do it anyway. It's Super Soaker. It's a water pistol. It actually is water element, so if anything's weak to it, it does do water-type damage. Let's see what we got here. The Skull Archer just fires a little magical bow and arrow. Whoop-de-doo, right? Like, it's not all that special, I don't think. Let's see what else we got here. The Killer Fish. I can't actually show you this one because it doesn't do anything outside of water. Because if I use it on land, it just instantly dies and doesn't actually do anything. But I think one of the bosses we fight is underwater, so I'll be able to show it to you then, I guess. The Blue Crow actually flings the enemy that I got it from at people. Like, here, have a crow. So suddenly I'm a falconer, apparently, is what's going on here. Even though it's a crow, not a falcon. At any rate, the Zombie Soldier throws grenades just like the actual enemy does. They prop in the ground and they explode. They do a lot of damage, actually. The Ghost is kind of cool. This is actually inspired from the Summon Spirit spell that Alucard has in Symphony of the Night, I believe. It does much the same thing. It's this little ball of spirit that flies around on the map. These actually will seek out and damage enemies on their own. So it's like a homing missile of sorts. Again, nice thing that would have been nice to have earlier on. I guess I did get that one pretty early, but it's also a little mana intensive, so... the Siren shoots music notes. If you listen close, you can actually hear someone singing them, which is a little weird. Those music notes do damage, but I don't think they do a whole heck of a lot of damage. The Tiny Devil, this one's cool. You saw the Tiny Devil shoot that little vortex sonic blade thing, but this one shoots it in 3 directions, which is actually very nice. It's like the Chameleon Sting from Mega Man X. So it fires upward, downward, and straight ahead. It's really good at clearing things in front of you that are hard to hit. Let's see, the Durga, you saw that one already. It throws a katana. I've been using that quite a bit. It's actually not a katana because it's a straight blade and it has a wrist guard, so it's really more like a saber. A straight saber. Anyway, the rock armor is the same thing as the actual enemy. Once again, it just hucks rocks at people in a little arc there. They're considerably smaller than the ones that the actual rock armor itself throws at people, but, you know, that's what it is. Oh, let's see here. The Student Witch shoots magic cats. Because everyone loves magic cats. It's exactly the same as like when the Student Witch or the Witch die and then the cat runs across the screen. Let's see what we got here. Arachne, I don't actually know what this one does. This is that spider lady thing. So it shoots sticky webs. I'm going to assume that these webs will stick to enemies when they hit them and, like, you know, do a damage over time effect or something. I'm guessing that's what it does. Or it might be maybe it holds them in place. Who knows? I actually don't know because I haven't tried it on an actual enemy. Flea Man just hops around this crazy little flea dude and does damage and runs into things. Then it dies after a couple seconds. Not terribly useful in my opinion. The Evil Butcher we saw that just throws little butcher knives that are coated in blood, and if you throw that at an enemy, it'll actually stick in them and do a damage over time for a couple seconds, which is kind of neat. The Waiter Skeleton slings hot curry. Okay, I mean, I guess, yeah, all right. I guess that does damage if it hits them or if they walk into it, maybe. But that's a little interesting. I don't have a lot of enemies to test these on. That's probably the only real downside of doing them in here. But the Altair is pretty neat. It's much like the Blue Crow, but it shoots it straight ahead instead of just kind of around in front of you. So it literally makes you a falconer at that point. Altair, what did I say it was? I said Altair again, didn't I? That's the main character from the first Assassin's Creed. Mudman, slings mud. Cool. Have some mud. I think you can kind of spam that one a little bit. I'm not sure what the mud actually does, but at any rate, moving on, we have the Cockatrice, which shoots the same downward aiming beam of petrification. You'll notice it's at quite a bit more of a severe downward angle than the actual Cockatrice itself. I'm not sure why that is. I imagine it'd be really hard to hit things unless they're like right in front of you. But that being said, there aren't really all that many enemies that are vulnerable to being petrified by that, so it's really kind of useless. The Werewolf's pretty cool. This shoots a magical thing of fire. The werewolf itself will actually do this. It just kind of flings fire in the ground and creates a little magical fountain in front of itself. So that one's pretty useful, and it's obviously fire element, so fire's good. Harpy shoots razor-like feathers. You'll see this actually shoots forward and backward. So if something's harassing you from behind you, then the harpy is a good way to, you know, take a stab at it, so to speak. Let's see what else we got here. The Uni, and I forgot what this does. Looks like it just buries a little thing. Oh, that's cool. It like sets a little trap or something. Interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that. At any rate, moving on, we have the Needles. Tosses mines into the air. Oh, that's neat. You can just put up aerial little mines wherever you want. Huh. I wonder how much those do. I can't see that being all that useful, honestly. There's not a lot of enemies that you have time to wait for them to walk into stuff. But I guess it could be useful in certain situations. Let's see. Ripple Laser is the Man-Eater. That's exactly what it does. It flings these little ripple-y laser-like things in front of itself out of its eyes to hit you. I don't know if that does a whole heck of a lot of damage. I imagine it does something at any rate. The Ukobak sets fires in midair. This is exactly what the enemy itself does. It lets you set little stationary fires in the air that enemies can walk into. You see, they don't last all that long. So it's kind of the same concept as the Needles, except they don't explode. They're just little bouts of fire that kind of float around. And I think they are immediately dissipated upon coming into contact with something. So, again, not terribly all that useful. The Fish Head shoots fireballs, much like the actual monster itself. You'll find that a lot of the souls, for like bullet souls, are the same projectiles or whatever that the actual monsters themselves will summon. So that's the same thing a Fish Head does. It's funny because the Fish Head is in the water, but it shoots a fire type attack, so who knows. Disc armor is great. It just shoots a spinning disc in front of you like this. And that does quite a bit of damage, if I'm not mistaken. And it's like a big yo-yo, just whacking people with big, giant, spinning saw blade yo-yo. What's not to love about that? Moving on, we have the Nightmare. It literally shoots nightmares. Just crazy awesome horses. I think those do quite a bit of damage, too, considering the mana requirement to cast that spell, but at any rate. Well, let's see what else we got here. It's Slime. Hurls slime at people. This actually will bounce around the room for a little bit. That's pretty neat. Whoops, that one didn't do quite as much. Moving on, we have... What was next? The Dryad. Grows stronger by stealing HP from its enemies. How does this work? I think what you do is you throw that at an enemy, it sticks on them like the Dryad's attack does, and it just kind of saps their life away and like grows a little tree out of them, which is kind of neat. I don't know if you saw the Dryads do it to me at least once. They probably did at least once. Oh, the Ripper is the same thing. Oh, I'm thinking... This is what I thought the Evil Butcher was. I'm sorry. So the Evil Butcher does not necessarily stick into enemies, but this one does. If you stab an enemy with this Ripper dagger, it'll stick in them and deal damage over time, which is kind of neat. I think they might both do that, actually. I think Ripper just might do more damage. Moving on to Were Jaguar. Powerful straight punch. Yep. Just literally straight up punch someone in the face with that, which has got to be cool, I imagine. We like punch people in the face. It's always fun, especially when they're demons and monsters and whatnot. Where Tiger, on the other hand, is an uppercut. Sure you can... Sorry, I'll stop. But I think that does about the same amount of damage, or maybe more. Let's take a look at what else we got here. We're getting close to the bottom, I think. The Bifrost. This is actually one of my favorites. Surprised I didn't use this, but it's like this exploding line of flame along the ground. Really, really cool. Really, really powerful. Absolutely shreds things that are on the ground, especially if they're vulnerable to fire. And I happen to like fire quite a bit, so... the Mandragora. This one's really powerful, but also very mana intensive. But it just literally summons one to scream and just hurts everything on the map, pretty much. It's really powerful. It's almost like a discount Red Minotaur Soul, for the most part, without a second swing. The Beam Skeleton's cool. This one just shoots a Beam Skeleton laser right in front of you. And that hurts quite a bit. Beam Skeletons are no joke, as far as that particular laser is concerned. Skullmillion, what does that do? Weakens enemies with poison claws. Oh, that's neat. I betcha... Oh, that's really cool. So that's like if you need a Hrunting element, like a poison element attack, you can do it with this. That's really cool. I like that. This is what I get for not trying any of these out when I get them, is I don't know what half of them do. Moving on to the Giant Skeleton. Throws giant skulls. Alright. Not a lot of range on that, but, you know, I guess that's cool. Moving on, what else we got here? Gladiator throws wheels at enemies, does it now? Alright, I guess literally summons a rolling little wagon wheel here. Chariot wheel, I guess, for lack of a better term. That's pretty interesting. I wonder how much damage that does. I bet you it's wood element. I'm just kidding. Let's see, Demon Lord. We saw that already. That's the Hellfire. I think we're at the end, actually, for the most part. Did you see Legion already? I don't know. I'll do Demon again. Or Legion, rather. Bomber Armor. I didn't do that yet. Throws bombs, just like the Bomber Armor itself. And those hurt a lot. It even says on the tin, it's a lot of destructive power, which is pretty nice. Let's move back down to the bottom here. Legion. So this is one of the bosses. We saw Lightning Doll already. We saw Red Minotaur already, so here's Legion. Literally shoots this tri-laser beam thing. It's pretty neat. I don't know how useful that would be, considering how mana intensive it is, but obviously when you have this ring, it doesn't matter. Let's see what else we got. Balor packs a deadly punch. So that's like the Were Jaguar punch, but I presume a lot more powerful, considering how much more expensive it is to cast. So that's gotta hurt, I imagine. Let's see what else we got here. Yes. We got Killer Doll. Mesmerizes the enemy. What? Seriously? I assume what this is like a little decoy or some such. It's a little Mina doll there or something. You fling this out, and all the enemies presumably will go after it and attack it. Oh, there's a Soma one, too. That's hilarious. That's kind of funny. I'm just kind of surprised that's what it does, to be honest with you, but that's alright. Moving on to... No, I guess there's a couple more. Nemesis. Cloaking shield makes you invisible before enemies' eyes. Okay, so that while that effect is on, it literally makes you invisible to enemies. So you can go with full stealth mode with Nemesis here and just walk around not getting hit by things, presumably. I bet you that doesn't work on bosses either. I can't imagine why it would. We got a couple more here for bullet souls. We have Kioma Demon, temporary invincibility. That's exactly what it says it does. Makes you invincible for... that's a pretty decently long amount of time. It's like, what, 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, maybe? Yeah, it's not bad. I can see that being useful in certain situations. Very expensive to cast, but... At any rate, that is all of the bullet souls. Those are definitely the most plentiful ones. You saw Chronomage, right? It stops time, so that's how I got the Skyfish. Speaking of Skyfish, we'll go on to the blue souls that I didn't show you most of. You saw the giant bat. You saw Black Panther. You know what Medusa Head does. Just makes me stop in midair. Shadow Knight is pretty neat. This one I like. It literally summons a little Shadow Knight behind you that will attack whenever you do. And that can stay in effect for as long as you want. As long as you have the magic points to keep it in effect. So in a sense, it's effectively like a little familiar that you can keep on for a long time. We're actually going to equip Red Minotaur for the boss rush mode here, because that will let me shred things in a very quick amount of time. Where is that? Here it is. Anyway, moving on to the... Well, you saw Flying Armor. I think you saw Buer, but I'll show you again. It just summons these two little floating fires that swirl around you in like a shield format. I think this is really cool. I don't think it like deflects projectiles or anything, but it's like a damaging shield. If enemies get too close, they get hit by fireballs, which is kind of neat. Viewer, let's see here. Which repels bullets with a shield. Literally just puts up this little shield, and that will block projectiles. I don't know if it blocks all projectiles, but I imagine it blocks most of them. But that's very useful in certain situations, too. A lot of the blue souls are actually really nice, but some of them are also garbage. Giant Ghost, this one's cool. This just puts a little barrier around you. As far as I know, it offers just like a little bit of a defense increase as long as you have it on. So anything that hits you will just be slightly less powerful, pretty much. But it's also very cool looking. I think it looks nice. It looks like you have this awesome aura. Moving on, we have the Final Guard. I guess, wait, what did I skip? Yeah, Final Guard. So, I don't know what that does. What did it say it does? Okay, so this is like, I guess this just blocks enemy attacks. It does like the guard effect that the armor themselves have. So anything that hits that will be a weakened or a useless guard attack against you. That's pretty neat. Very expensive to maintain though. The great armor, as long as you maintain this, and I actually have to hold this down, by the way. This is not something I can just toggle on and off. I have to hold this down, but it increases my strength by a pretty substantial amount. But it's also very expensive. Let's see, moving on to the Catoblepus. Breathes petrifying cloud into the air. So anything that walks into that, if it's vulnerable to being petrified, will be petrified. Otherwise, it'll just do damage to them in the form of stone damage, which I don't think very many monsters are vulnerable to. Bone Pillar, this one's cool. This is the same thing, but it breathes fire instead. Very cool. I like using that. It's literally just a flamethrower attack in front of you, which is awesome. Moving on to Cagnazzo, which punches enemies, which seems weird because that's not at all what the Cagnazzo soul itself does. That's pretty funny. It just kind of hovers in front of you on your head and punches things. I like that. That's pretty funny. Moving on to Big Golem, also punches enemies, but this thing's a lot bigger, I think. It also guards your back. Holy! Yeah, as you swing, this thing will punch anything behind you, which is pretty interesting. I can see that being useful to some extent, but I don't know how useful, really. Creaking Skull supports a battle from behind. I think this does much of the same thing. Yeah, as you swing, so does this giant skeletal arm with a bone in its hand, and that's pretty interesting. Let's see what else we got. I think there's not that many blue ones. Persephone, we saw that. That's the magical vacuum cleaner that absorbs people's health. Allure Une, this is literally just a healing spell, as long as you have it. I'm actually at full health, so I can't do it. But if you're hurt, you just hold this button down and it'll heal you over time. Like, I think 5 hit points every, like 10, 15 hit points a second. But it's also very expensive to use. But if you need to heal in a pinch, that's a good way to do it, as long as you've got magic available. The Devil transforms into a demon. So the Devil, the Manticore, and the Curly are all the same thing. They just look a little different. So these are what transforms you into a giant monster that like sends you forward and through enemies and through obstacles. So they're all effectively the same exact soul. They just look a little different. So that was the Devil. The Manticore looks even cooler, I think. It's pretty creepy looking. And then you saw Curly already, because that's the one I used to get into the waterfall in the secret area. Skyfish. We saw this for a minute too. The way this works is you hold this down for a set amount of time. I think the longer you hold it, the longer the effect lasts. But as long as I had that little lightning pulsing around me, I have a strength and luck increase. I guess no, it does not last any longer. So you're kind of wasting your time if you're doing it for more than a second. Let's see here. The Imp summons a familiar, and so does Alistair. And these will literally just hang around and fight alongside you for as long as you have it toggled on. The Imp, I think, will actually do what it actually does and, like, poke enemies and make them continuously stay in place and attack and not do anything, which is annoying for them, I imagine. And then you saw Alistair already. It just summons this awesome disembodied sword that swings at people. And then lastly, Death. This just turns on his little flying sickles that randomly fly across the screen. That's really cool to have on if you're in a big room with lots of things. Those cycles just fly all over the place and kill everything. Very neat. That being said, the yellow ones don't do anything. They just have passive effects. So a lot of them are pretty standard. A lot of them are just straight-up stat increases. So Ghost Dancer is luck +4, Gremlin's luck +8. Undyne and Skula, walk on water and swim. Iron Golem, this literally makes it so that you won't flinch when you're dealt damage. So things will still deal damage to you, but when you're hit, you won't go flying backwards. You'll just keep going the way you were already going. I still don't know what this does. Jumping while taking damage restores health. I haven't quite figured it out. The Dead Warrior, this is weird. I don't know what that one does either. Pressing up B is a bullet soul, but I think what that means you can do is deflect enemy attacks with your bullet souls. The Flesh Golem, that makes bad food good for you. So rotten meat and spoiled milk will heal you instead of hurting you. Peeping Eye, all this does is finds walls that you can break in the castle. And when you know where all of them are, like I do, this is kind of pointless. Tsuchinoko makes store buying stuff cheaper. Giant Worm, if you're standing still, you'll slowly heal yourself over time. Pretty nice. Zombie is, instead of being weaker when you're poisoned, you become stronger when you're poisoned. Arguably better than just being immune to poison, in my opinion. The Wooden Golem, MP rate recovery increased. Rubicon, that's the one where you get stronger the more hurt you are. Headhunter is just a straight-up increase to all your stats based on how many souls you have. Aranis is more experience points gained. Basilisk, you trade off your attack to get a pretty substantial boost into... And you see the bonus there is pretty substantial. It's 12 points away from attack, and it gets you, it looks like 15 points of defense. So very nice. Mimic, that's the one that gets you money as you're hurt, which is cool. Archdemon gives you MP as you're hurt. Ectoplasm immune to curses. Poison Worm immune to poison. Gargoyle immune to petrification. And then we got the stat up here. So Skeleton Knight is +4 strength. Minotaur is +8. Golem is +12. Triton's +16. White Dragon's +4 con. Quetzalcoatl's +8. Gorgon +12. Dead Crusader +16. Red Crow is +4 int. Lilith +8. Bale +12. And Stolas is +16. We saw Ghost Dancer's +4 luck. So there's all those. There's not really all that many to pick from, honestly. And if you're doing boss rush mode, I'm going to guess that Headhunter is probably the best bet because it's just a flat increase to all your abilities. So we're going to stick with Headhunter. As for a Guardian Soul, Black Panther is going to be the way to go because we want to progress quickly through the level, and Black Panther will let us move faster. So at any rate, let's do some boss rushing, shall we? And in fact, you know what? All right, yeah, let's do it. Moving on. So I'm just going to hit this guy like twice and he'll die. Or I guess more like 4 times, but still. Not even going to bother with getting the little health pickup. Just going to keep blasting through here. We'll do a red Minotaur to get some damage on this guy. He dies rather quickly. We'll bolt on. This is how you speedrun, by the way. I guess Lightning Doll would have made more sense here for this guy, but That's okay. And we'll bolt on with Black Panther. So that's 3 bosses down already. I don't know why they put the Man-Eater here. This is not a boss, obviously. This is just a generic enemy that there's only one of. I guess that means they count it as a boss. Here's Big Golem. You'll see we're just kind of trugging through everything because Red Minotaur Soul is ridiculous. Moving on. I think the next one is going to be the Headhunter, yep. So she's not that difficult. The first actual real boss, you'll see one Red Minotaur and her head comes off already, so... And we'll swing and... Yeah, so Headhunter's not going to be a problem. It's just waiting for those head-changing animations, really. Yep, that's already dead. Moving on. Here's Death. This will be interesting, I think. That's going to be bad. It's going to hit me. Yep, sure does. Because I went way too fast. Let's hope I can kill him before he kills me, because Death's actually pretty menacing when he's coming at... Oh, here we go. Oh, he's already dead. Look at that. Moving on. Yeah, Red Minotaur really makes quick work of all these bosses, unfortunately. It's just a little bit overpowered, as you can see. And then, of course, it just swings in a massive arc and just hits everything. And there's the core of Legion already, and it dies in a single hit, so let's move on. Did I kill it? Yeah, I did. Okay, making sure. This door just won't open yet. There we go. Here's Balor. We're going to hit him in the eye with our red... Jeez, he hits really hard still. We're still going to do our little Medusa head trick with him, by the way. Although he's hitting me really hard, so I'm going to go ahead and eat my tasty meat. Ow. Jeez, oh Pete. Alright, so then we'll throw on Medusa head so he can't hit me. Where the heck is Medusa head? There it is. Oh, he's already dead. Never mind. So we're going to go ahead and drop Allure Une then, actually, to heal up real quick. As soon as I can find that thing. Although, to be honest, I think the last fight is Graham, and we're not going to need the health increase for him. Yeah, so we're fine, actually. So we're just going to whack him in the face. He's already in his next form, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it doesn't take much to kill Graham. He's really weak and pathetic, and I don't know why he's the last boss. Yeah, we won't even need our... we won't even actually need the last little bit here. Again, the whole, as long as you crouch, he can't hit you deal here. I probably should be using Red Minotaur to get this over with quicker. Like that. I don't want I don't want the hands to hit me, so... There he is, and that's it. So that was boss rush mode, and it does not include Julius, nor does it include, what's the other one? Oh, it doesn't include Chaos, obviously, because that's... And Julius and Chaos are part of the true ending. The boss rush mode does not assume that you went for the true ending, it just assumes that you went through the game normally, so... At any rate, we did get a prize based on our how quickly we defeated said boss rush mode there. And I believe this is actually the best one. Let me confirm that real quick. Yes, this is the Valman way. So that is the... I beat it in 3 minutes, 31 seconds. And that is the best reward you can get. The Valman way, and I'll show you that momentarily. And actually, if I load up a New Game Plus, it will be in our inventory. So why don't I do that real quick so you can see. So we're going to go... New Game Plus, carrying over items and spirits. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll load up a hard mode file just because that sounds like fun. And I'm pretty sure I can skip all this. At least I hope I can skip all this. Yep, okay. So, level 1 Soma again, but I have all my souls still. And I should have all my items as well. Yep, for real. So, the item that I got for beating boss rush mode, the best item at any rate, hoping it's... Yep, here it is. So this is the Valman way. This thing is very similar, but not the same, Yeah, I get it. Thank you, Arikado. So, if you're familiar, when I talked briefly about the Crissaegrim from Symphony of the Night that lets you walk and create a flurry of blades in front of you, this is that. Same thing. You can walk, and there's this hits like 3 or 4 times per attack with this. This is just me mashing the attack button, and I can still do it while I'm walking. However, the difference between this and the Crissaegrim is that it is far, far weaker than the Crissaegrim. The Crissaegrim is like plus 100 and something attack. This is literally just plus 2. So it's very weak, but it hits a lot, and you can do it while you're walking. So it literally turns you into a living Cuisinart, which is kind of nice. So as you see, I can probably just walk into these zombies and kill them in a couple of attacks. I probably don't even need to stop to hit them, honestly. Wow, I already got another zombie soul, look at that. So yeah, this just shreds enemies to bits as you walk into them. Sadly, it will not be all that effective until you have a chance to level up a bunch, because, as I said, it's only a plus 2 attack increase. Oh yeah, I can't even double jump yet, because it started over. At any rate, so this is the best of the 3 items you can get from Boss Rush mode. The other one, I'm not going to go through and do it again, just because it'll take a little longer and I don't want to. So, the other 2 items that you can get from Boss Rush mode. So if you don't get Valmanway, the next best one is the Positron Rifle. And it is awesome. It is this giant laser gun that Soma pulls out, and it shoots this penetrating laser beam across the entire screen, and it pierces through enemies. So literally, it's just a regular attack. It's a little slow, but you pull that out, you shoot across the screen with it, and it laser beams everything in sight. And it does quite a bit of damage, too. In fact, I think it is the strongest projectile weapon that Soma gets access to. So you guys saw the handgun. I think I still have it. Yeah. So the handgun doesn't quite reach all the way across the map, and it does. The damage on it is actually not very good. But in hard mode, you get access to the silver gun, which shoots silver bullets and is far more powerful than the handgun. But the Positron Rifle is even stronger than that. And then the last weapon that you get from Boss Rush mode, if you're not fast enough to get Valmanway or the Positron Rifle, you will get the Excalibur, which, yes, that Excalibur. So the sword that King Arthur pulled from the stone, or rather that was gifted to him from the Lady of the Lake, I should say. I'm gonna get my facts wrong. That being said, this version of Excalibur is stuck in a rock. And what that means is, it is this giant blade, and I'm talking huge. Like, the swinging arc is bigger than that. It's bigger than the Cleave Sulish's swinging arc. It is the strongest weapon in the game. It has, like, plus 200 attack strength or something. It's absurd. And there's a giant rock on the end of the sword. It's still stuck in the rock. But you're swinging the sword with the rock on it, and it does an obscene amount of damage. It is very slow, however. I think it's slower than, like, the Ascalon. But it is massive and does a truckload of damage. So if you don't get the Valmanway or the Positron Rifle, you will get the Excalibur instead. And if you go through Boss Rush mode multiple times, if you get Valmanway the first time and you do it again and you were good enough to get Valmanway again, you'll just get the next best item instead. So you beat it in less than, I think it's like 3, I think I got it exactly, or pretty darn close to the fastest you could do it, or the slowest you could do it. So as long as you beat it within a couple of minutes, you'll get Valmanway. Then you'll get the Positron Rifle, and you'll get Excalibur. And then every subsequent time you do it, once you have all 3, you just get some generic prize. I think it's just money, if I'm being honest with you. I don't actually know. But at any rate, that was Boss Rush mode, and that was all the souls in the game. I'm not going to go through and do another hard mode playthrough right now. I don't see any point. You guys just watch me play through the whole thing. Obviously, I won't need to soul farm, though. That's nice, if I decide to play through this again. But in hard mode, there's just a few different items in different places. The enemies are tougher. You know, that's about it. Standard hard mode stuff. But at any rate, that is all for Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. We've done the whole group, or the whole game, the true ending, experimented with all the souls, and defeated the boss rush mode, so we're done. That being said, the next series will be something different. I haven't quite settled on what it's going to be yet, but I'll figure that out, hopefully momentarily here, and I will get that posted for you next week instead of this. So, thank you all very much for sticking with me this far. This has been fun. This is I guess this will be the 3rd Let's Play that I've finished on this channel, which is nice. I'm starting to feel a little good about that, so we'll move on to something else next time. I'm not sure if it'll be a platformer, or maybe it'll be something different. We'll see. But I guess you'll have to tune in to find out. So until that time, thank you very much for watching. As I said, I really do appreciate it. This has been a blast to do, and I hope you all enjoyed it as well. So this has been Seraphin. Stay classy, internets. Until I see you next time.